There are moments in your life when you don't hear a sound. You feel it. The crack of Dr. Victoria Chun's hand slamming into the podium ripped through the conference hall like a gunshot. 250 pediatric oncologists froze. Not a whisper. Not a cough. Not even the shuffle of paper. This is unacceptable. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't shake. It cut. Dr. Martinez, she said, eyes locked on mine. Sit down before you embarrass this institution any further. My stomach dropped. Behind me, the screen still glowed. My data. My charts. My protocol. 2 years of research. 18 months of clinical trials. Children who had no other options. And in front of all of them, she reduced it to nothing. I stood there, laptop open, hands trembling just enough to betray me. I had rehearsed this presentation 100 times. I knew every number, every failure, every small miracle. But none of that mattered anymore. If I moved too fast, I would cry. If I spoke, my voice would break. So I gathered my notes slowly, carefully, like dignity was something fragile I could still save. No one met my eyes. Not the doctors from Mass General. Not the researcher from Johns Hopkins. Not even the woman from the National Cancer Institute who had flown across the country for this presentation. Victoria stepped into my place without missing a beat. I apologize for that display, she said smoothly, already owning the room. Dr. Martinez is young and enthusiastic, but after reviewing her research last night, I found critical flaws. I'll be presenting the corrected version myself. The corrected version. The same files she demanded from me less than 24 hours ago. I turned toward the exit, my chest tight, my ears ringing, when my phone vibrated in my pocket. Unknown number. Dr. Martinez, don't leave the building. Your department head is about to get the surprise of her career. Meet me in the west hallway. Now. My heart stopped. The message ended with a name I knew too well. Dr. James Robertson, Editor-in-Chief, Journal of Pediatric Oncology, the same journal that had already accepted my paper for publication. And in that moment, standing alone in a hallway while my boss stole my work in front of 250 experts, I realized something terrifying. She hadn't just humiliated me. She had exposed herself. I didn't turn back toward the conference hall. If I had, I might have lost my nerve. Instead, I slipped into the west hallway, the noise from the auditorium fading behind me like a bad memory I wasn't done with yet. My heels echoed against the marble floor, each step louder than the last, as if the building itself was counting down to something I didn't understand. Dr. James Robertson was waiting by the tall windows. Silver hair, calm posture, the kind of man who didn't raise his voice because he never had to. Dr. Martinez, he said quietly, holding up a tablet, I need you to look at this before you react. He turned the screen toward me. 2 documents sat side by side. On the left, my journal submission, dated 6 months ago. My name, my metadata, my work. On the right, the same title, the same figures, the same phrasing. Different author, Dr. Victoria Chun, submitted 3 weeks ago. My breath caught. I don't understand, I said, even though every cell in my body already did. She submitted your research under her name, Dr. Robertson said evenly. Our plagiarism software flagged it immediately. Same files, same timestamps, same embedded data. He swiped again. IP addresses, revision histories, Excel sheets created on my hospital login. Then he looked at me, not with pity, but something closer to respect. This isn't the first time. I stared at the screen, my chest tightening. 4 junior physicians, he continued. 7 years. All brilliant. All quietly pushed aside. She had protection, institutional loyalty, the right mentor. Until last month, I swallowed. Why tell me now? Because, he said, glancing back toward the auditorium where Victoria was still presenting my work. She made a mistake. I followed his gaze. She's explaining research she's never actually done, he said. To a room full of people who will notice. I felt something shift inside me. Not relief. Not anger. Clarity. What do you want me to do? I asked. Dr. Robertson's mouth curved slightly. Not a smile. Something sharper. Nothing, he said. Just watch. We walked back inside together. Victoria was deep into the methodology section, now confident, polished, empty. She spoke like someone reading, from a script instead of someone who'd spent nights, sleeping on lab couches, begging data to make sense. A hand went up, then another, and for the first time since that podium slammed, I saw it. The cracks. The first question sounded harmless. Dr. Chin, a woman from the National Cancer Institute, said, calm but curious, can you explain your rationale for the alternating administration schedule? I felt my pulse spike. That wasn't a surface-level question. That was a why question. Victoria smiled, smooth and practiced. The pharmacokinetics are detailed in the appendix, she said. As the data shows, the alternating schedule maximized effectiveness while minimizing toxicity. It sounded right, but it didn't answer anything. I saw it immediately. A pause followed. Just long enough. The woman nodded, but her eyes narrowed slightly. Another hand went up. Your control group selection is interesting, a Stanford oncologist said. How did you adjust for confounding variables, like patient age and prior treatment history? Victoria clicked to the next slide. We use standard statistical controls, she said. The data speaks for itself. Again, words without substance. Deflection dressed up as confidence. The room shifted. Not dramatically. Subtly. Doctors stopped nodding. Pens hovered instead of moving. Then Dr. Robertson raised his hand. Victoria hesitated before calling on him. Dr. Chun, he said evenly. I have a technical question about your third trial phase. I felt my breath hold. You noted using a modified growth medium. Why that specific modification? And how did it affect apoptosis markers? Silence. This wasn't a question you could dodge. It required lived knowledge. The kind earned at 2 a.m. when nothing works. Victoria's smile faltered just for a heartbeat. The modification, she said slowly, was based on current best practices. Dr. Robertson nodded once. Interesting, he replied. Because Dr. Sarah Martinez, who submitted this exact research to my journal 6 months ago, documented that change in detail. She chose it after discovering traditional medium caused unexpected cell death in pediatric samples. The air changed. Not loud, not chaotic, but undeniable. 250 experts reached the same conclusion at the same time. And Victoria knew it. Because when she looked at me, she didn't look angry. She looked afraid. Dr. Robertson didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. I'm not implying anything, he said calmly. I'm stating facts. He stepped forward, tablet in hand. Dr. Martinez submitted this research to the Journal of Pediatric Oncology on March 15th, he continued. You submitted an identical paper word for word on October 28th. A ripple moved through the room. Not whispers, not gasps. Recognition. Our plagiarism detection software flagged it immediately, he said. The metadata confirms the files were created on Dr. Martinez's hospital computer. The revision history shows 18 months of her work. Your name appears for the first time 3 weeks ago. Victoria backed away from the podium. Just one step. But everyone saw it. I've been investigating you for 4 years, Dr. Robertson continued. Since a young physician contacted me after you presented his research as your own. He tapped the screen. A timeline appeared. Name after name. Submission after submission. Original researcher on the left. Victoria Chen's name added later. This makes 5, he said quietly. The room felt heavy. The hospital's chief medical officer stood in the back. So did the head of the Research Ethics Board. Neither looked surprised. Victoria's hands were shaking now. This is slander, she said, voice cracking. I've led this department for 15 years. Dr. Robertson met her eyes. Your reputation was built on theft, he said. And it ends today. Then he turned to me. Dr. Martinez, he said, would you like to explain the research you actually conducted? Every head turned. Not with doubt. With expectation. I walked to the podium. Victoria didn't move. She couldn't. I stood at the podium, my hands steady now. Not because I wasn't scared, but because fear had finally been replaced by something stronger. Truth, the modified growth medium, I said, my voice clear, wasn't something I planned. Victoria stood frozen beside me, like a shadow that had lost its owner. I discovered it by accident, I continued. 2 a.m, 3rd month of trials. Cells were dying when they shouldn't have. Traditional protocols failed. I clicked to my original slides. These weren't standard samples, I said. They came from pediatric patients with a specific genetic marker. I tried 15 different variations before I found one that worked. The room leaned in. I reduced glucose by 40%, I said, and added a non-standard amino acid buffer. It stabilized apoptosis markers without increasing toxicity. A murmur ran through the audience. The alternating treatment schedule, I added, wasn't for convenience. Daily dosing caused resistance. By spacing treatments every 3 days, we increased remission rates by 38%. Silence. Then, that's remarkable, someone whispered. I looked up. 26 children were part of the trial, I said quietly. 18 are in complete remission. Some of them weren't expected to survive the year. Phones came out. Notes were taken. Careers shifted in real time. From the back of the room, the chief medical officer spoke. Dr. Chen, he said coldly. My office, now. Victoria didn't argue. She walked out without looking back. Dr. Robertson handed me the remote. You have 45 minutes left, he said. The room is yours, and for the first time, I wasn't defending myself. I was being heard. Offers came fast. Invitations. Collaborations. Funding discussions. 3 weeks later, Dr. Victoria Chen was terminated. Her license was under investigation. Multiple papers were retracted. I was offered her position. I didn't take it right away. Instead, I asked for safeguards, authorship protection, independent ethics reporting, funding for expanded trials. They agreed to all of it. Today, my protocol is active in 7 hospitals. 38 children are receiving treatment. 31 are responding. Their parents send photos sometimes. Birthday candles. School backpacks. Moments that weren't supposed to happen. And that's the part people like Victoria never understand. This was never about credit, or titles, or applause. It was about kids who deserved a future. You can steal a presentation. You can steal a name. But you can't steal the nights spent failing. You can't steal caring enough to get it right. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't fighting back. It's standing still, letting the truth speak.